Now, every 1st of December since 1988 is a day that was designated for the World AIDS Day. Now, the AIDS pandemic is one that is caused by the HIV virus. This has affected and affected a lot of lives around the world. Now, this past December, we shall be celebrating awareness of HIV and AIDS. My name is Shadrach Shagaf Kisame, and you are live on the desk. I am talking, the continent's leading intellectual platform, actually the highest platform for solution finding. Now, many thanks for all those who keep themselves glued onto U24 television, and for those who keep themselves specifically glued onto the desk. Now, we trust that every time you watch the U24 television, you are inspired, you're motivated, but above all, you are educated. Like tonight, we're going to be educated more of HIV awareness, the stigma that has been going on for years. Now, I have ladies with me that work with Somero, an organization that has, taken a front row seat in trying to curb that. Now, with me is Irene and Joan. Welcome to the show, ladies. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We are approaching 1st December real quick, and I know these are some of the activities that you people do. I want to start with you, Irene, before we even jump into 1st December, to introduce yourself, then we'll move to Joan here, and the organization that you're from and exactly what you do.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Irene Nakakande. I work with Somero Uganda as the Deputy Executive Director, but also a social worker and a counselor and a teacher by profession.
Impressive. Maybe Joan here.
Hi viewers, I'm called Nanyondo Joan. I work with Somero Uganda and I'm the Senior Counselor.
Okay, let's start with you, Senior Counselor. So I'm knowledgeable that some of the services you offer at Somero is counseling. Who exactly do you counsel? Only HIV/AIDS victims?
Not really. We counsel everyone. Someone who needs support, someone who needs psychosocial support, people facing with domestic violence issues, people with HIV, then the youths. They need to know many things. We do a lot of awareness session in different things. We talk about different things at Somero.
Right. So who is eligible for counseling? Anyone going through what you've talked about, trauma and everything, and then how do they know that, okay, at this point I need counseling? Because people never know.
Exactly. So at Somero we have a different session, the BCC, Behavioral Communication Change. So within this session, as a counselor, I always we would observe. We would put out a topic, and then we give them a space to talk and discuss about different issues. And within the giving out experience and sharing how they feel about that topic, someone would come out individually and talk about and discuss about how they are feeling. Then that one you will know that this person really needs help and support. So that is how we observe.
So if I'm to bring in Irene here real quick, when does, because you're Deputy Executive Director, when does then Somero start?
Somero was founded in 2009 on a background of a young girl whose parents had taken her out and they had borrowed money from someone, but then they couldn't pay the money. So they gave in this young girl to work in bondage to pay that debt. So she really went through a lot. She was facing child labor. She did not have a platform to go to school. And to escape she ran away from that person where they had kept her. So when she ran away, she just landed into a bar where she started working. She engaged in karaoke, and unfortunately she contracted HIV/AIDS. So this is where a group of people, young people, met her. They were from Kawempe. They met her, they picked interest in her. She was someone who was really interested in learning but never got that opportunity. She could really speak a lot of English but never even knew how to write her name. So they picked interest in her. They brought her in Kampala. They took her to YMCA to start that adult literacy, and that is when they learned that she was HIV positive. So they started also giving her HIV support, but then one time she was taken to Mulago to pick her drugs, that because of the stigma and all that she had gone through, she threw herself from the 3rd floor and down, and that is when she really committed suicide. So that is the background where Somero started, to see that a lot of young people, especially girls who are facing such issues of early pregnancy, those that have contracted HIV, they've not got a chance to go to school, are given another chance in life where they are supported to get education, they are counseled, and then they are able to get their lives back on track.
And Irene, these are things that people go through every day.
Yes, it is really happening.
She's just
everywhere.
one of them.
Just one of those many stories do not come out, but this is just a story of one that was able to come out and sparked off interest from some people who are interested in bringing back hope to such people to get back their lives on track.
I am telling you. So, because this is one of the story and this one was known. So what happens to those stories that are not known? What do you guys then do?
We work with we are working with Tell a Story to bring out stories of such people, look for them in the community. Many of them are there, but because of the stigma, they do not want to come out. Many of girls especially have faced a lot of issues. Many of them are having multiple sexual partners that they really feel ashamed and do not want to bring out such stories. They feel they cannot talk to anyone. That is why we have a group of people at Somero, counselors, young people like Joanne, who are always there to bring these people closer to them, give them love, and make them able to speak out about issues affecting them.
Impressive. All right, let's go for a quick break, but then when we return, then we now dive deep into the activities that go on at Somero. I'm telling you, it is one of those ones as we are moving closer to 1st December, the day designated, to celebrate awareness, but then also to continue with the fight for the HIV and AIDS. Do not go away. I take a breather and the desk returns in a bit. And welcome back. In case you just joined us, I'm afraid you've missed the very first insightful segment of this very lovely episode of The Desk, where we're talking nothing but awareness. We're talking HIV stigma, and we're trying to raise hope for the hopeless, trying to at least instill faith for those who are living in fear. We are saying it's not the end of the world. All you need to do is be in the right company. Now you can follow this very lovely discussion on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Do that for Shadrach Kisame and do that for U24 Television. Is Somero on social media? How do people then reach out to you?
We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram.
So it is Somero?
At Somero Uganda.
At Somero Uganda everywhere?
Everywhere.
So someone can inbox you for whatever they want?
Yes, they can do. Because we are mainly looking at young people, and young people mainly enjoy social media. So for us to reach out to them, we really have to be a lot there.
Right. Before we even jump back into Somero, Joanne here, how then do you say I want to be a counselor? How does this start? Because I mean, you would have been a social media influencer, maybe a boutique owner. How do we end up here?
Okay, I think it's been something I caught up interest with when I was in school.
Yeah.
I used to admire the counselors.
At your school?
Yeah, my school. So I used to also, I think, I had that catch up where like people would come and talk to me.
Yeah.
They confide in me most of the times.
Yeah.
And whenever people talk to me, they would feel better. And everyone was like, Joey, you know what? I think you are a good counselor. But I didn't have the experience.
Some of your grab?
No, it's not about the grab, but it's the way I used to comfort someone when they have issues. And then all of a sudden, like at campus, I used to be the someone who had the shoulder to lean on. In my group.
For what, heartbreaks?
No, for so many things.
Okay.
For so many things. Yeah, so I caught up interest, and I'm like, I knew what I want after senior 6. I knew what I wanted. I'm like, I'm going in for counseling. And it was really nice journey and experience.
So when you counsel someone and then they get this support that you intend for them to get, how does that feel if you're talking to any other counselor out there?
It feels so nice. It's like you've helped this person to overcome that feeling, that distress, that depression inside them. And it feels good to make someone happy.
All right, so for someone who is in high school right now and they want to be a counselor, what's your word to them? But their parents is telling them, no, you're supposed to do law.
No, you have to follow your instincts inside you.
Yeah.
If you feel something and you feel like you make a better place and make a better world to people or anything, you have to go for it. I'm like, you go for it, we have all the support. You can still come up and talk to your parents though, to tell them how good it is to make someone feel better and change someone's life out there.
Right. So Irene, let's just talk about, because when you know counseling is broad. So someone would want to find out, someone would say, oh, maybe they're just talking to girls or those with HIV alone, and then they're in a certain docket that you've not mentioned and they shy away. If you can just, break for us the different aspects that are within counseling.
Okay, for us at Somero Uganda, we are basically targeting the achievement of the UN AIDS targets towards elimination of HIV, which is the 95-95-95 strategy. And in this strategy, the first 95 is looking at 95% of the population that are HIV positive know their status. So this is about counseling the young people and enticing them to go and check out. It's not easy to go and take an HIV test. Even for someone who was tested today, if you tell them there is a test tomorrow, there is that kind of fear.
But why are we scared? Even when I'm sure I did not sleep around, why am I scared to check for my HIV status?
It's just scaring, you're just not sure of what might come out. And
is it about the test or?
Of course, some people fear the pricking. No one is happy with pricking their body, but then other people are fearing of what comes next in case the results turn out positive. What is going to happen next? Some people think it's the end of the world.
Can I even interrupt you a bit? Even you, the counselors, make it, because before you just, okay, what if you find out you're positive? Now you give me all the both, because I've checked a couple of times. Then you give me both scenarios. But in my head I'm thinking, why is she talking about if I'm positive? What if I really am? Then I go and my heart is, you counselors are the ones scaring us.
I've faced something before. We had gone for a session in Kanungu to counsel some of the young people, but then there was HIV testing. So we also wanted to go and take the test. So I take the test, we wait for the results are not coming out. Other people have called your results out, mine are not coming out. So everyone is looking at, Irene, what is happening? Your results are not yet out. Maybe you're sick. So it was getting a little bit dark, and then someone gets on this public speaker. Everyone that is called, please go to the counselor's room. Can you imagine? And then the names were being read out, and among those names was Irene. I was like, oh, this is the end of the world. So I go there, and then when I get to the first counselor, he says, what is your name? My name is Irene. No, you go to the second counselor. So I was already traumatized, I was already shaken, and I was wondering what is happening. So later the person tells me, how have you been? Who have you been with? What has been going on? And they tell me, you're HIV negative. So I was like, why that trauma? Why that trauma? Why did I have to go through all this? So it is really traumatizing just for you to sit there to wait for your results. Some people go and test, but they run away. They don't come back for the results. They do not come back.
And that is bad, because you're not sure.
You're not sure. It's like, it's more of not testing actually, because if you test and don't pick the results, then you do not know what your status is.
Also, it depends how the counselor handles a client. Because I think counseling, it needs a space. It's like a safe space you've come in. So if you do it maybe in public, it's like doing those mobile clinics, something in a community. Everyone is going to notice that, oh, she has gone for the HIV test, and to break out the information that about your status is so difficult. People might faint or do what. So it needs a safe space. It needs when you're inside, where like you can comfort someone even when they break down, than to make it public. So it depends the way you handle your clients so well.
So that's important for counselors out there.
It is very important.
Yes, Irene,
Yes, so that is the first 95, having 95% of the population living with HIV, knowing their status. Then the second 95 is 95% of these people who have known their positive status, being able to start the ART drugs, enrolling them in care. So most of the times we find that people go pick their drugs, and then when they reach home they are discouraged. because no one at home knows their status, they have to take their drugs in hiding. Those that have to move their drugs at work, you know, my colleagues might begin knowing that I'm HIV positive, and then sometimes they miss out on their drugs. Then others maybe have to travel longer distances. No one wants to go with drugs. People realize I'm taking ARVs and they laugh at me. So they keep off drugs somehow, somewhere. And then you find there are those young people who are on drugs but they are in school. Of course, no one would want to be seen taking drugs in school. So all that fear, many of them end up not taking their drugs. Some of them end up not coming back for their appointments, because many a time they're told you come back after a month, after 2 months, but some do not come back. So our work is to look for those people in the community. We go and give them visits in their home. Try to understand what is affecting them, what is affecting them not to go back to the facility to pick their drugs. There are those that are picking drugs but they are not taking the drugs very well. What is really happening? Is it the people at home? Do you need to disclose to your spouse? Do you need to disclose to your parents so that you take your drugs very well with support? So such kind of people, ensuring that they are able to be retained in care. Taking their drugs very well.
So if I may interrupt, because you said to disclose to your spouse. So couples are living and one knows the HIV and they've not told the other?
Very many of them. It's so common. No one wants to say that. I mean, who would want? Of course they know they are going to be chased away. If I was your girlfriend and I came and told you I'm HIV positive, what would you do?
Of course you're gone.
You might run away. That is it. So who wants to be chased away?
So you keep quiet and endanger me.
People will keep quiet,
and that is the challenge we get. Where like
kill each other, like
it is happening a lot. By the way,
you test someone, is like you're not going to tell anyone about it. I'm not yet ready to disclose to my partner. I need some time, and it is really. You also become you get a challenge. You get, it's like a conflict between you and your client. Remember, confidentiality is so important. And then you can't force someone to disclose when it's not yet the time. So what are we going to do there? You're going to insist to continue following up, visiting, telling this person how to disclose, so how it is important.
So you come, you find me with my wife, you very well know my wife is positive, and you don't tell me.
You cannot.
You cannot, because that is not my thing to do that.
I know, but
it's a consent from the client.
The client should be able to consent. If they don't give their consent,
you can't do that.
On that note, let me go for a quick break, because this is terrifying. That means I do not know if you're out there and you've not told your spouse, you've not told your relatives. Okay, relatives maybe, but spouse, I think it's really important, because you engage sexually. Do not go away. We return in a bit. Well, right now, you know what it is. Every time it's Wednesday, it's all about the desk for U24 television. Now, for those who want to continue with this amazing discussion, you can follow on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Do that for Shadrach Kisame and do that for U24 television. Now, if you've not liked my page on Facebook, you have a minute. Type in Shadrach Kisame, like, for you to know what Shadrach Kisame and the desk are all about. But before we went for a break, there's something that you said that was really, I find it very profound. I find it very disheartening. I find it very fearful. Like, my wife is on drugs and I do not know.
Yes, it happens a lot. And many times both spouses are positive, they are on drugs, but everyone is doing it in hiding.
Oh no.
Everyone thinks I should not tell the partner, they should not know, they will chase me away.
So everyone is doing it.
Everyone is doing it their own way in hiding, and everyone thinks my husband is negative, so if he gets to know that I'm positive, they are chasing me away. And the husband is also positive and saying if the wife gets to know,
she's leaving,
she might run away. So
no,
everyone is keeping in hiding. And it's very dangerous, because when you disclose, you're able to get the support of the partner. Someone who will remind you to take your drugs. Someone, if you're not even in town, they can help go to the facility and help you pick the drugs for you. And even keep interacting with each other, sharing on the same topic. But
if I may find out, because that is very important, if I may find out the percentage, how many couples, you know, they all know they're positive, they're supporting themselves, each other, giving themselves this support with medication. And do we have a circumstance like that or a scenario like that?
The scenario is there, but they are quite few.
Yet you can find 2 of them are both positive.
Yes, it is possible, and everyone is picking drugs from a different facility, and everyone is in hiding, taking my drugs in hiding. The husband does not have to know.
And I always remind my we call them clients.
Okay.
Yeah. I always remind people who are positive that is being so greedy, because you're not.
Oh, you're being greedy.
Yeah, you're not looking at your family, the kids inclusive.
Okay.
They always leave out the kids, because if you do that, at the end of the day, you're not going to take your drugs well, because you're not freely. If let me say you're taking your drugs at 9 p.m. and your husband is at home by 7, it's going to be difficult. So that day is going to skip that day. So it's like, because it doesn't have anywhere to take the drugs, the house is a bit small, it's not like he will go in the other room, so it happens that it's going to get too much viral load. The viral load is going to become high, and they have kids. At the end of the day, these kids are becoming orphans without even knowing.
Right, so let's talk about, because our time is really fast spent, let's talk about now the children. The children now who they've given them their ARVs, but they've gone to boarding school, but they do not want these people to see them. How then do you guys handle that?
We talk to the counselors, we talk to the nurses within the school. Of course, if the parents have disclosed, then they will find someone like a nurse in the school, and then they will be allowing once in a time a counselor to come and talk to this young girl. Of course, when you're visiting a client, you don't go like with medic things on you. No. So I could go like this, and they would think I'm maybe her sister, I'm a cousin, I've come to visit her, and then we have a chat around, and we try to find out how she's adhering on her drugs. Does she need a refill? How can we help her, like in such ways?
But you know, high school has become something. It's not like back in our day where if you had a girlfriend in school, it's just holding of hands, hugging. These days, these kids are sharp. They kiss. They even have sex.
Yeah,
very much.
So how then do we control? Because I mean, this is a senior 2, senior 3. You think you're all young, and then before you know it, you're having sex, and this person is giving you HIV and AIDS. Like, how? Because now that you mention, I start now to fear.
So it's a lot going on in school, but we do have sessions in schools, counseling sessions in schools, where we talk to these young people, tell them about HIV AIDS. Of course, some think it's not something usual. If you've not had someone die of HIV, you might think it's a myth. You might think it doesn't exist. So we have sessions with them, we share with them. There are sessions that we call the post-test club sessions, where these are sessions for young people that have tested, they know their status. Many of them are negative, so we need to give them information on ensuring that they keep their negative status, encouraging them to be faithful, encouraging them to abstain. Now children in school should really abstain, because a lot is going on.
And there's a way, if I'm to bring you in, John, there's a way in school now. Kids seem to be very, very mature. You know, you visit maybe a cousin or a nephew, like, I have a girlfriend, what do you do with them? I kiss, I do this, and you feel like their access to sexual information is so high. What do we do then? Because some of them are really positive.
Yeah, it's true. So I think, like, you always have to, first of all, the counseling starts from the home, because we tend to say, oh my God, these kids are still young, they're babies, but you give these kids the phones. So they always get the wrong information from the social media. They follow the wrong people. I don't. Sometimes they
get wrong information from social media and wrong people, like people here of fresh and clean.
They're like,
fresh
live your life. What? They
fresh and clean. Fresh and clean people, you should tell people to abstain. Tell your high school people who watch you to abstain.
Exactly. so the parents tend to feel like my babies are so small to tell them information about HIV, about sex. Yes, and they don't know what is happening with their children. So we always tell the parents. The parenting sessions are always there at Somero. I'm always on live on Facebook to talk about the parenting session. You need to let your child, the moment you're not with your child, you don't know this child who is staying with or being with or talking to.
Yes.
So you always need to tell your children about those things. Talk about the sex, how dangerous it is when you're starting it earlier, how dangerous it is. Talk about the HIV. So we always tell these parents to tell their children the truth about what's happening around.
But John, we are young parents. For instance, if Shadrach, you're a young parent, you have to look for school fees, you have to look for this, you're working like 3 jobs, day.
So at school we always have those sessions. There are counselors at schools, they always talk about it.
Yeah.
We always make awareness session about HIV. I think it's the most talked about topic all the time, even in schools. So we always make sure we talk about kids one-on-one to get to know how life is these days. So we always do that.
So we are also working with the senior men and senior women teachers in schools and empowering them with the information that they need to pass out to these young people. So they normally organize sessions for us and invite us once in a while and come in to talk to these young people.
You know, because the fact that it's talked about a lot, hasn't it just become talk? Like hasn't it lost? Because I remember when we were in school, those things, was it PSA? Was it when they talk about it, you even get goosebumps. You're like, if you have a girlfriend, no muchawa. Like, does it still have the same impact?
Nowadays, it's better to use things like media, bringing the young people, do role play. It's more role play, because when you talk to young people, of course, you'll talk and talk and talk. They say everyone talks and talks and talks. So you bring in the creative ways of passing over this information. You get a number of them, they act out a scene, and then you give them out to play for to make it out for their young people, and then ask questions after. Sometimes we also do educative films where we bring educative movies. You let them watch, and then after you have them answer questions, share their experiences of what they've seen there, what they've learned. But if you keep talking and talking, sometimes it's really not impactful, because they are used to those
also
things.
The clubs,
the clubs like media. What was that? Writers club.
The writers clubs. The
Interact.
Exactly.
But I remember Interact was for dancing.
No, for dancing.
I didn't join that one, but I was in the writers club.
Well, the awareness about awareness clubs about HIV. We always have the team leaders there, so they always let know what's happening. We have the posters, the talking walls where we pin up the information about the HIV. So someone will always have to read about it.
In Somero we have what we call art murals. These are messages that are painted on the wall, and what we do, we work with children. They develop these messages, we give them a theme. This message should be on such a theme. Then they bring out their creative drawings. And then also messages, then we work with them and paint them on the wall. This message stays for forever. There are messages that we've painted on walls in Rakai, in Mukono, in Imbale, and even up to now we still go and find those messages still there on the wall. But the beauty is working with children. When you work with them, they develop their messages. This is something they will even share with others. They will be proud of what they've put out there, and will be able to share it out with others.
Impressive. It's been a pleasure, ladies. I cannot go past this because there are people watching and they're saying, Shadrach, the movie is up next. And I want to give them a chance, really. Thank you very much for watching The Desk. Now for tonight, we want to say good night, good luck, adios for God and my country. May the good Lord bless this beautiful Uganda. Now until next week, same place, same time, and of course, same host, now more than ever. I'm Shadrach Shagaf Kisada.